Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Why the Hell Not podcast. I have Lil Mullet with me. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. Thanks for having me.
You know, when I heard that I was gonna have a little mullet on the show, I was thinking rapper. So it was pretty cool that we have this hardstyle artist. You are hardstyle,
Yeah.
correct? That has kind of like a SoundCloud rapper name in a way. You know, I think it's cool. So just tell me a little about yourself, about Lil Mullet.
29, originally from Kansas. I didn't really the name Lil Mullet was when I was going to school for music production. Like some kid threw it out there. It's like because we had to do some rap beat for something, and so that's when the name stuck. And I've went with it since. So I really didn't come up with the name. Shout out to the kid from my music production class that did. And then ever since then I just ran with it. But I get that a lot. A lot of people think I'm a rapper, but I'm not.
So you were in music production class in, was it high school or college?
College. I just graduated 2 years ago with my associates in music production.
So when was the how old were you when you thought, "Oh, I want to go forward with music production, maybe not necessarily into DJing, but just in general," or were you kind of right off the bat at whatever age you were at, like I'm going to be a DJ?
I didn't decide I wanted to be a DJ or anything till it's probably 2016. Somewhere that's when I enrolled in school for it, and I still didn't know if I really wanted to do it yet. 'Cause I had 6 months in between the time I enrolled to go to school, so I was still debating it, and then finally decided that is what I wanted to do. So I never thought I'd be a hardstyle DJ though. That came later on.
And so I mean, how old were you when you first got your DAW? Uh, what did you start as a musician? Did you kind of just jump straight into it?
I never had a music background at all, no music background. That's why I went to school for it because I had none of the basic music theory or any of that to learn from. So that's why I went to school for it. But the first time I started trying to produce was 2009. I messed around a little bit with Fruity Loops, and then I don't know. I was put on I didn't really take it that seriously, and then I was still going to college at the time, working on my criminal justice major then, and then I decided. Join the army, and that's when I joined the army. And so I just put on back burner again through that. And then towards the end of my army career, early 2015, I decided I wanted to produce again. And that's when I downloaded Ableton and started really taking it seriously.
So Ableton is your go-to DAW now.
Oh yeah.
So, do you have any tracks out currently, or tracks on the way? And when you moved to California, how did you kind of attack the scene?
See, I have 3 or 4 tracks out right now. Reverse bass, one's a psytrance track. Then I have working on 3 tracks right now, trying to get one out within the end of this month. And then to get into the scene in LA, I started off as a promoter. Went straight to I met a kid through school that worked for Avalon as a promoter, and that's where I started. And DJ'd there a couple times. So when you get to the scene here, you got to become a promoter first. Pretty much how it works.
How do you feel about that whole situation and relationship of DJs being forced to sell tickets, or just promoting shows?
I don't like it, man.
What DJ does?
Because it takes up a lot of time. It's hard for you to focus on your brand and stuff when you got to constantly promote and push tickets all the time. It makes it hard to focus on building yourself.
I mean, people who are good at promoting, if you don't have an established brand that automatically brings tickets, your skills are in promotion. Promotion is a separate skill than being a skilled DJ or a skilled producer. And so I feel that a lot of people with this model, maybe some people are getting shots that maybe don't deserve it, or not deserve it, but don't have the skills as some of the other local talent that maybe just doesn't have that many social friends that goes out and parties. They're working on their brand, but it's hard to get your brand out there. You're kind of boots on the ground, doing live events, opening up for DJs who are similar to you, and building your fan base by playing these shows. It's hard to get those opportunities, because there's many DJs out there in the scene that don't produce, that aren't the best mixers, but they can bring, say, 20, 30 friends because they're in a fraternity or whatever it may be. So I don't like the system because I feel that the talent and the actual music gets hurt by this model.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know a lot of kids that can really produce and everything, but they couldn't sell tickets, so they never got to play.
It's a whole different thing. I mean, I think that event companies, they should be worrying about the promotion. They should be creating content for artists that they work with, that they want to book, bring them up and curate a good talent pool, curate the right DJs, and you'll have an amazing show. And it's like you can hire promoters. You don't want. I know it's the easy way, and you got to hit your quota, you got to hit your numbers. It's hard being a starting event company, but you should really try to make the best experience possible at the club for the person attending.
Yeah.
It's just you're gonna have more longevity with your fan base as an event company if you know that they're always bringing good talent, new stuff. Um, so that can definitely be frustrating. So you said you played at Avalon. Any other clubs that you've played at recently?
See, I played El Paso at the Green Door, uh, the Circle OC quite a bit of times, Blasco, DNA Lounge in San Francisco, which is probably my favorite place to play at. The crowd there's way,
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of events there. I've always wanted to check that place out. Is it small or is it big?
it's kind of like in between. It's got like a bottom story and like a top story like wraps around like the stage.
What size is it? Like Avalon size or is it circle sized?
Like in between Circle and Avalon.
Okay.
'Cause Avalon's huge.
Yeah, Avalon's a theater.
Yeah.
I was trying to get a scale. That's not a bad sized club for sure. Um, so you produce on Ableton for the producers that are listening to this podcast. What are some techniques you use? Maybe not with compression, but when you're first starting a track, do you focus on maybe vocal chops or get a drum pattern laid out? What is kind of your process that you start out a track with?
I start out with my kick because kick for hardstyle is like the most important thing. It's the thing that sticks out the most
It's
in your
everything.
drop. Yeah. So I always start with my kick. That's bottom bass line is like my kick. I find the kick I want, or like try to make the kick I want, and I use that. And then I'll do like the underlying part of my drop, like all like the sounds and stuff that go like in the breaks. And then I'll do my build up. Build up always comes second. And then I'll do like my chords and stuff I'll worry about later, and then like the lead that goes with the drop and everything. 'Cause
So with the kick, I'm not really familiar with hardstyle. I know I've messed around and made a couple works in progresses in that tempo. But is it an elongated kick or is it a kick with its sub bass? Do you layer your kicks? What do you go into creating your kick? Because isn't in hardstyle, your kick is kind of your signature sound.
yeah. So I'm still working on that part and like making my kicks like my sound. Cause like I do reverse bass, and so there's like tons of different ways you can make reverse bass. Like the old school way is to take a kick and then take a sub and then time stretch it, flip it and time stretch it, so it gives you that kick wah sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been like focusing a lot on like trying to do that, and trying to do it the old school way because I like the old school sound of hardstyle, of reverse bass
Okay.
hardstyle. The old school sounds like what I like. It's what I want to try to bring back. So for me, like just trying to make the kick is pretty hard. Like a lot of people try to make the kicks is hard. So sometimes it'll take me like 2 or 3 days just to make a kick.
So do you like put anything special? Have you ever tried like throwing reverb on your kick? Maybe not in the or maybe having a layer of a kick so you have one that's gonna contain your low end, and then maybe you layer that kick and put a little bit of a verb on it. Do you have any special kind of sauce that you'd want to share with the listeners?
It's distortion.
Just distortion.
Yeah, just a little bit of distortion is what you got to add. Because a lot of hardstyle to use distortion.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a little bit of distortion because like verse bass can't add too much because then it gets too not so.
So
Like happy
I'm not
sounding.
familiar with like the sub genres because I know there's like happy hardcore and there's it's like Gammer.
tons.
What's the high speed one? There's like
Gabber.
Gabber, right? Isn't
There's
that like
hardcore.
hardcore? So what is what beat per minute is happy hardcore and what beat per minute is Gammer? Could you let some of the listeners know who don't know that much about hardstyle
So like
and with the tempos?
hardstyle is normally like reverse bass will be like 150 to like 160. There's some reverse basses up there that high. And then like your regular hardcore is normally like 150. They stick with that. Hardcore's 200 plus BPMs, like 180 to 200 plus BPMs. There's some tracks that are like 300 BPM out there. And then you like raw style will be like 150 to 180. So it just depends on like your subgenre, like how you want to do it. But a lot of raw style is 155. That's what they normally stick to. That's like their thing. Reverse bass, they stick to 150.
So
Hardcore is 200 most of
it's
the
like
time.
anything above 170. I enjoy it in the live setting, but I mean, do you like just when you get off work, like go in your car and just start like jamming out to 200 beats per minute tracks? I know you're in
Yeah.
150, but is that it is for the hardstyle fans? Like, is it just that's what you guys like all the time, or do you like a little bit of like relaxing music at times? Like,
This like surprised a lot of people like when they meet me. I listen to country more than anything.
okay,
So, cause like I'm from Kansas, I'm country, and so like I was raised listening to country and rock, so I listen to that more than anything. But like working out and stuff, hardstyle is like definitely for it. Like we listen to hardcore the whole way here, so
because it hypes you up.
yeah,
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, of course, I listened to like Show Tech like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, like
that's
the
the old
occasional
school.
songs. Yeah, but that's, I mean, to the extent, I know some artists, but I've never really been a hardstyle guy. Started to appreciate it more in the live setting in the past few years. I like it. What in terms of because I know you're doing the old school reverse bass. Who is one of your main influences? What artist would you recommend me to listen to right now?
Francesco Zeta or DJ Isaac, one of those two, because they're like they still produce like the old school sounding reverse bass too, still today. I really like them. That's like Francesco Zeta is probably one of my favorites in the reverse bass side.
So, would you love like a Lil Texas, Lil Mullet direct support? Would you be looking for that show to happen?
Oh yeah, anytime. Lil Texas, like that's he's helped me a lot with like finding my sound
Oh, really?
and
So
like
you know him?
yeah. I don't know him personally. Like I like talked to like Instagram, met him a couple times, a couple shows, but he's like one of like the biggest artists like has helped support me because like you can text Lil Mullet or message Lil Mullet on Instagram with any question or Lil Texas and he'll answer it.
Mm.
It may take him like a day to like answer you back, but he'll get back to you and answer you.
So I saw this video on Twitter of Lil Mullet spitting in a guy and a girl's mouth.
That's Lil Texas, not
Or
me.
not Lil Mullet. Dude, you got the name backwards and it messed me up. Lil Texas. Uh, is that like his thing, or
That's
is that
like
just
part
like
of
a
his
freak?
brand.
Part of his brand? He spits in your mouth. Would you let Lil Texas spit in your mouth?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's daddy.
You heard it. Hey, Lil Texas, if you ever hear this, Lil Mullet, let him play your show with you, and you can spit in his mouth, and I'll film it.
That's a fair deal, actually. I take that.
So, outside of DJing and producing, what do you like to do in your free time?
Currently in a master's program right now, so like right now it entails like a lot of schoolwork,
Mm-hmm.
but like I'm not like working on homework and stuff. Mostly like go to shows with friends or just hang out, drink a couple beers at home.
What I know it's was it BassCon? That's kind of the BassCon and um gosh, what's the other big one that's kind of local for festivals here?
For like the hardstyle shows would be
Yeah,
like
for hardstyle.
BassCon, Army of Hardcore, and Hardstyle Arena.
Hardstyle Arena. Okay. Um so if you could play with I mean besides your influencers, what would be like a dream lineup for you to see live or perform with?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. See live would probably be Francesco Zeta because I have yet to see him yet. Ooh, DJ Stephanie too. She's another like inspiration. I ain't seen her play either yet. So there's a lot like I wish Insomniac would bring like more of like the more than just like the group they bring because there's like a lot of really good DJs that have yet to be on Insomniac shows. But yeah, definitely like Francesco Zeta, DJ Stephanie, probably Looney Tunes on there.
Looney Tunes.
I like them. They're like one of my favorites too. And then I don't want to guess. It's like I can't say. I don't know how to say his name right. I think it's like Activision. He's like another like guy that does like a side trance and reverse bass.
Mm.
I think that's how you say it. It's like yeah, I think it's Activision. He's another like one of my influences too, because I like to mix. I like to mix the like psytrance and reverse bass together
You
in
know
my
what? You know
sets.
what you should do is you should put country into your music. You should try, like, you should do a little twang. Sounds like you probably do some twang. Say some words over it. Like a Cotton Eye Joe, but like different style, I guess. But have you ever thought of doing something like that to like go with your brand, or for your brand specifically, you're kind of going for something a little different?
Like just because I'm country, that like my music, like I just really like country, but I don't think EDM and country really like mix together that well.
Wake me up,
Because
Avicii.
I found that's not really country though.
I guess not. I thought it was. I mean, isn't it a? Well, it's not.
It's
It
just
depends on what country you're thinking of, right?
yeah,
Because like, that's more of like a pop country,
yeah.
right?
So
Yeah, fair
like a
enough.
country, like I don't think it would mix. Like there's a Cotton Eye Joe remix that I have downloaded from I can't remember who made it, and it's hardstyle, but I'm too scared to play it because I don't know if if the crowd will like
I
it.
mean, you should totally play it. You're Lil Mullet. I mean,
I thought about it, but then like all my friends were like, oh, I don't know, bro. I don't know if that one will go pull over very well. So
what has been kind of your biggest challenge as you're striving towards this career as a DJ?
the scene for hardstyle, like our shows are like few and far between. We'll probably get like there'll probably be like a hardstyle event like once every 2 months, stuff like that. Like so, it's kind of hard, and so
What country is the biggest in hardstyle?
Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Oh man, they have like
I was just there.
I like I like follow like the hashtag like hardstyle and stuff, and like every weekend there's something going on in the Netherlands.
Then you should go to ADE. Have you heard of that conference?
Mm-mm.
It's like I think it's 5 days. Yeah, I think it's 5 days. It's basically this conference like takes over Amsterdam, the city, like South by Southwest does for
Okay.
Texas. So there's a bunch of different venues. They have like Coliseum style where they'll have major headliners. They'll close down the underground like bike tunnels. Over 200 clubs, different conferences. They'll have panels. So you can learn a lot about production, a bunch of different genres, but it's mostly house music, hard style. Like it's less. There is rap and there is bass music, but it's more sparse
Yeah.
compared to house music, and hard style is a big thing of it. Great networking experience, and I highly recommend it. It's in October if you want to look into it.
Sweet.
ADE, Amsterdam Dance Event.
I've seen some videos from that, definitely from like Yellow Claw and stuff, since they're like from there. So
What Yellow Claws? They've gone because I remember they were trap with like hardstyle breaks in it, or they would like switch into hardstyle for like 30 seconds or whatever, and then go back to trap. Have they gone full hardstyle, or are they still a little bit of trap, kind of a fusion?
they're mostly trap now.
Oh, really?
Same with Looney Tunes. They went like pretty trappy too.
See, I haven't been following the trap scene besides like Uzi and Mr. Carmack for the last like 3 years. I kind of just dove straight into house music. That's been my thing. Um,
Well, trap died out there for a little bit too. It took
and they say it's coming back, or
yeah.
it's like this weird kind of like slowed down hybrid, like Peekaboo Beats is really cool.
Yeah,
It's
like a
almost like dubstep,
fusion of dubstep and trap together.
fusion dubstep trap, and then like mid tempo almost, where it's a little slower. I think that stuff's really cool. You're going for a classic sound, but what do you think? What is your game plan with creating your unique sound? If you could describe it verbally, your sound that you're going for?
Kind of want to be like, because there's a DJ called Reefers, and it's his screech, like in his drops. Because like old school has like a lot of screeches and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And his drops, like he has a screech, like you can tell it's his screech. Like every time you hear a song, like if somebody like doesn't mash up and stuff, you can tell like that was Reefers' drop they use because of screech. I kind of want to get like with like my screech and my kicks. Like you can tell like, oh, it's my track just from my screech or my kick.
So are you a part of any sort of like? Do you have a squad, maybe fellow DJs that you wanna like shout out, or any groups? I know a lot of DJs are part of like collectives. Do you have any ties to anything, or are you kind of like a lone wolf right now?
It's Lone Wolf right now. It's like focusing on like my music and stuff and doing some collabs with Sache. Like we're working on a collab right now. They're another hardstyle. They're a duo that here in LA.
you have to be to be very strategic with who you surround yourself with in this type of industry because everyone has past histories and people don't forget stuff in this industry, and sometimes it can be you can be just put in a you're in a collective and one guy does one thing and now you're kind of paying for it. So I think going lone wolf, not necessarily meaning you can't collab with anyone, but not being necessarily tied to anything is a really smart decision, or a safe decision where your actions are only responsible for your actions. You won't
Yeah.
get in trouble for someone else's actions.
Then you just focus on yourself a lot more too.
Hmm.
Like you don't have to worry about like the collective side of things. Like you get to focus on yourself, your music, your brand.
Yeah, and I think that's where people get so always want to jump a part of some collective and rush and get live shows, but you really just need to find your sound. You need to put the time in. Don't You just got to be patient with the process. I mean, it's very rare that you'll jump into it and just start getting shows. You got to have something for the people to grab onto,
Yeah.
or you'll just be playing shows.
You got to have the brand.
Yeah. So, do you have like a 2-year plan? What's your goal for maybe end of 2020, end of 2021? Uh, what are you trying to do, and how are you going to achieve that?
All right, now my main goal is just put out as much music as I can, much like good music as I can. Because the way I look at it, like my music will bring me to the shows. Like once I start putting out good music, like people will start coming to me and asking me to play. So like right now, it's like my biggest focus. So like by the end of this year, I probably want to have at least like 6 new songs out by end of 2020. 2021, probably put out like an EP or an album.
Are you doing self releases, or are you trying to get on labels?
Right now, just self releases, but one of the new songs that I'm getting ready to release is I'm gonna send off to some labels. So
Yeah, if the quality is there, it's worth it to get onto get releases on labels because one, you're gonna get listeners who aren't following you or whatever. You're going to reach out to different people. Being on getting those releases on labels, it it definitely affects you getting booked. Like promoters can reach out to you, especially if you land a label with notoriety. I mean, they put that under your name on a flyer. I think shooting for the labels very important. Self releases are good as well. Do you use like are you on like Spotify, iTunes, like for people to find you? Just Lil Mullet,
just SoundCloud right now.
just
I'm
SoundCloud.
working on getting all the others
Mm.
figured out, but most of the others like it has to be originals, and I do like a lot of flips and a lot of remixes.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna start pushing out more originals, so
Mhm.
that way I can get on Spotify and iTunes and stuff. Because you gotta get it like if you want to do the remix, you got to get the actually like license from like the record label and stuff if you want to release it on there.
Mhm. So, what's your favorite show you've ever played
Say DNA Lounge, San Francisco with Looney Tunes.
with Looney Tunes?
Yeah, that was and Non Toxic. They were there too. That was like the crowd there is like so much different than here. Like the scene everywhere you go, the scene's different. Like El Paso is a different scene. Kansas back home's a different scene. Like everywhere's a different scene. Like the community's different. And San Francisco people, like they were just so loving and everything. Like I like pretty much met like almost everybody in that club that night. Like were coming up to me, like meeting me and talking with me.
Mm.
And so for me, I liked it better than any of the other shows I
So,
played.
what's like the Kansas City scene? What is that like?
A lot of
Or not
bass heads
Kansas City,
there.
but Kansas.
There's a lot of bass heads there. They're mostly
Bass
rhythm
heads.
and dubstep
Mm.
there. Yeah, a lot of headbangers and stuff there. Like festival lineups, show lineups there, are always dubstep or rhythm.
With everything going on, what do you want to see out of like? Do you want to be the next show tech, or do you want to kind of um, run more like underground? Are you trying to explode, or are you trying to solidify yourself in the industry and maybe in more of a um, I don't know how to explain it. Are you trying to break into like major festivals, or are you trying to tour small clubs, make a living that way?
A little bit of both, I
A
guess you
little bit
could
of both.
say. Like, 'cause I still want to like tour like the small clubs and stuff, and then still want to play. Like, who doesn't want to play festivals, you know?
Yeah.
But the small clubs and stuff, that's like what your actual like fans go. Like,
Hmm.
those people like come to see you, meet you, and stuff like that. So like that, what I'd like too. I'd like both, but like right, that takes a long time to get into that. But the touring club part is actually easier to get into than the getting festivals part.
Yeah, I mean, if you get the right team underneath you, you can get. I know people who tour and they're not that big. You know, they get the right booking agent. They have the way they do their press kit. They just approach it from a very business forward standpoint, and they do well. And then there's the people who produce the music, they blow up, they do the big festivals, and that's kind of where they sit. Because once you get to a certain point, it's kind of hard to do small clubs anymore unless you're going to do multi-day shows.
Yeah.
What would you say your fan base is like? Have you started to curate one? Have you ever met a fan? Any experience like that?
Fan base like your typical like hardstyle fans and stuff. They're pretty chill. Like happy to meet you. Like every time I could go to even like just normal shows, like people come up to me like, "Oh, Little Mullet." I've had like somebody I ran into at Beyond one year, and they had a Little Mullet wig on because I throw out mullet wigs during my sets, and a kid had a mullet wig on and was wearing it around.
That's fucking awesome. So if you had anything to tell your fans about you, about your music, you had like one thing to leave them with or to let them know about, what would it be?
Just follow your dreams and don't really care what other people think. That's like the things I live by.
It's a way to live. I mean, if you care, especially if you start blowing up and you start caring about what people think, you're gonna make yourself go crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna ruin your brand that way.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to shout? Anybody you want to shout out who's helped you along the way? You can shout out your own Instagram if you like.
Somebody that helped me a lot is Lil Texas, so shout out like Lil Texas. So my Instagram's at Lil Mullet _. Twitter's at Mullet Little, and SoundCloud's at Lil Mullet, or just Lil Mullet.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Lil Mullet, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, this has been the Why the Hell Not podcast. You guys have a good night. Thank you.